if people listen to more women, and I say creative women, capable women, I think that we would be in a better place.
And women who are strong invariably do suffer from labels. Has that been the case for you? Have you
Absolutely.
been? Oh, tell me.
Oh my gosh.
Tell me.
People describe ambitious women as bullies. My son was born in '87. I had just started the business. I took him with me in the Moses basket and had him on my desk.
Now, we keep coming across these statistics that women in business, women in the workplace have to work harder. They invariably get paid less. I mean, they're unfortunate statistics, but women, when they put their mind to it, achieve great, great, great things. What was in that? Is there any thoughts during that 3 weeks that stick in your mind that of any resistance or particular moments where you just went, yes? Either way, and something that just stuck on your mind. Have you got one of those hardwired memories?
The thing is that the way I sort of worked from then on was I didn't care about anybody else. I didn't care what anyone else was doing. You know, it was just about me and who was with me. So I didn't look to see, for example, yes, and I beat him and I did. No, it was none of that. There was none of that. It was just about what I was set out to achieve, what my goal was, where I wanted to be. You know, it was not about anyone else.
So
And
what,
I think people shouldn't look to see what someone else is doing. You know,
and we do, don't we? We do
I think
look
yes.
to
I think
see.
you get distracted.
Yeah.
You know, and I think if you're looking for achieving something, don't bother. Don't even calculate what someone else is doing. You know, just you set your mind to it. Obviously, you've got to be creative in what you do, so you really need to plan out what you want, and that's it.
So where did you go from there, Sara? So you've landed this amazing deal, 50 apartments, gone in 3 weeks.
And
Obviously, you're
then
on a career high. Then what happened?
then the business started rolling in. It started rolling in. Not to do with development and stuff like that, because the developers thought a lot about the older names. You know, I was 23 years old. I was young. You know, I was very young, 23 years old. And people thought when they met me, I looked 16. So, for example, I just said, this is a part that'll make you laugh. I went to see a house in Attard. I'll never forget, a semi-detached house. And I knocked on the door. I said, "Hi, you called. I came to do the listing." And she looked at me. She told me, "I didn't call you." And I said, "Yes, you called Sara Grech, right?" She said, "Yes." She said, "No, I called your mother. You definitely not you."
Oh my
I'm
word!
telling you, it was so funny because it's true. I was young and I looked really young. So it was hard for her to you know, sort of, I'm going to give you my house for sale. Like, no.
And did they?
Yes, they did.
Excellent. There you
They
go.
did.
There you go. So you're 23 years old. You've accomplished this. You're starting to get business coming in, and things are going well. You're 23 years old in basically a woman in a man's world. How then did you take Sara Grech to where it is now? How did you keep pushing? How did you navigate? And what were the obstacles? What have continued to be the obstacles?
The obstacles are, as for me, as any other agency, the
Yeah.
obstacles are the employment, the agents, the markets, the governments, the infrastructure. You know, there's a lot. So the obstacles that I faced, anybody else was going to face. You know, and like any business, you do your best, you move forward, you try your best to overcome what's happening when they do new introductions, higher stamp duty, applications for permits. You know, all these play a big role in your business. So what I faced, everybody has faced, really and truly. The difference was that it was always harder for me to be listened to than anybody else.
But even today, I mean,
Even today.
we're going from a 23-year-old to where you're at
Yes.
now, which is a tiny bit older than 23. Just saying. Um, but even now, it's harder for you to be listened to? No, surely not.
I think it is. Yes, and it is. Because if people listen to more women, and I say creative women, capable women, I think that we would be in a better place.
I couldn't agree more. Let me ask a question about that, because just as you were saying that, it made me think of the titles, the labels that are given to strong women. Uh, for me, I grew up with the Iron Lady. The Iron Lady was Margaret Thatcher, who was the Prime Minister of the UK when I grew up. Now, she got an awful lot of misunderstanding, incorrect labels, because she was very committed to her job, but she was a woman. We talked before we came on here about the New Zealand Prime Minister who's just stepped down, who has been very cruelly labelled as giving up on her job. And we said ourselves, she knew when to walk away because she'd done her job and she was handing over. And women who are strong invariably do suffer from labels. Has that been the case for you? Have you been?
Absolutely.
Oh, tell
Oh my
me.
gosh.
Tell me.
I've been called everything under the sun. I would say people create a perception. They, for example, take New Zealand, the Prime Minister. I mean, what she did was absolutely the most courageous thing to do. And I don't think any man, no man would have done that. I think she showed how strong she is, and she has so much empathy that she understood that it was time for her to leave. Um, the labels that I've had, where I'm a bully, I'm aggressive, I'm many things, from people who don't even know me, from people who haven't even met me. Okay, and I say perception because they create. But they might meet you for a minute and think that they know you. You know, so being in such a male-dominated industry has made me strong, but has not changed what I am or who I am or my values. You know, I don't live my values by being a bully, because I'm not a bully.
Would you say that you are any more persistent or stronger than your male counterparts? Because I think this is a perception. When a woman stands up and a woman is strong, she's labelled as being a bully or a pain in the ass. But are
I
you any
think,
more so than your males?
no, I think that people describe ambitious women as bullies. I think. I think that people sort of, women who are very competent or competent in what they do, are described as bossy and bully. Sort of because you're competent, like Margaret Thatcher was, because she was so competent and she was so fearless, because she made decisions that other people would have be found very hard to do. You know, she made certain decisions that showed how strong she is. So her reputation was Iron Lady.
Sarah, how do you deal with that on a personal level? When somebody is making claims about you, about your business, about what you're doing, we are all human. So I'm sure sometimes, particularly in the journey that you've gone through from 23 years old to where you are now, there must be times where you go home and you're just like, is it worth it? How do you deal with that?
It's very tiring, because people don't see you different from the workplace. And for me, you're one way at work because you're getting a job done, and you're different with friends. I mean, with friends, you're not trying to achieve something. At work, you're trying to achieve something. This is what people don't understand. Like, you can't be the same person you are at work as you are at home. Yes, at home you want to achieve making the meal and having the house look clean and whatever, but it's a different achievement. So if you at work you just go 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 and you want things to get done, and at home you might be a completely different person. But it's been hard with um, people you meet have not met you before and already know about you, and know, yes, maybe she's a bully at work, or something like that. Which, if you talk to my people, I'm really not a bully. But that's how you come across.
So then,
So
when you're at home and someone said this about you, do you go home and process this, or you park it? If somebody makes a claim about you that's because these things do impact us, particularly women. I think women are probably more prone. Would you process it or would you park it? How do you, for other women to know how to do that?
I think there are certain things you should process, certain things you should park. Because if you process, then you learn how to deal with it better later on. And each time it happens to you, you know. And then you park some things because they're just not worth bothering about. Not worth it.
I want to come back to this situation with your father and your brothers. You've left the business. You know, at a young age, you've had this incredible deal, and then you've gone on to grow Sara Grech to be one of our household names in Malta, and to do incredibly well. You mentioned that you have a great relationship with your family. What happened? Did they turn around and do you think they regretted not keeping you on board?
I don't know, I can't speak for them, but I think they understood, and today it's obviously a much different picture from the time we were growing up, and it was the 80s, to as time moved on and we all had got married, had children, you know, and we remained very close. And they could see that I was determined, hardworking, ready to sacrifice. Because I think the most important part of what I did in my early age was I was willing to sacrifice, willing to be left out, willing to
Left out in what respect?
silently left out, because when you're working hard and your friends are having babies and staying at home and walking the babies on the seafront and meeting every day, having a coffee, you're not there. So you are left out, you know. They call once, they call twice, they call three times, then obviously they're going to give up calling, you know. So you are left out in a certain way, and these are the sacrifices that you make as a woman, because the men aren't left out, because the men are supposed to be at work. Whilst the majority of my friends at that time when I was having my children, my son was born in 87. My daughter was born in 91 and Hannah was born in 94. So at that time it was still stay-at-home moms, mostly. Most of my friends were at home. A lot of my friends worked, but a lot of them didn't work.
You've just opened up a whole new topic, and I want to touch on this as well, because I think this is a situation that is very real for a lot of women now. I have friends who have had children very recently, and they're straight back to work. They go through that maternity leave, and then they're going back to work, and they're feeling that sort of wrench of being away from their children. How did you manage that? Because we're talking about a successful woman in a time where that probably was even harder than it is now, without the support that you have now through childcare and family and so on. How did you manage that? How did you go on to still have enough energy and determination to continue with your business whilst raising a family? And that's actually quite a short period of time to have 3 kids. What was the reality of that?
It was very hard.
Well, I have no doubt. I have no
You know, I
doubt.
was up for many hours. So my son was born in 87. I had just started the business. I took him with me in the Moses basket and had him on my desk.
And nobody questioned that. But I mean, it's your business. I'm assuming people. But was there ever a point where people were sort of querying a bit of it, like this? This woman should be at home with this.
Exactly. But I told you, it wasn't their opinion that mattered, it was mine. So I wasn't interested. If I wanted to go to work, I mean, look, my son was born 22nd September at 1:40 a.m. At 5 p.m. I was in the office. That's how determined I was. So there was no stopping me.
And there was never a moment where you said, you know what? Maybe I should take a different path. Maybe I should go back home and have, time with my family and give up on this. You knew that's what you wanted to
But
do.
I did give my family the time that they needed, because as he grew older, then he went to school. So there was time. I went maybe home earlier. I did things from home. Then, for example, he'd go to bed. What I did was I lived exactly above the office, so it was very convenient. So if my son slept, I'd go back down to the office, for example. So I was tackling the business and what I need to do at home easily because I lived close. That was the beginning. Then obviously as time moved on, I didn't stay close to the office, I moved away. So then I was able to get somebody at home to help me. In the beginning, I didn't have anybody at home to help me, so it was hard. But I still had to wake up very early in the morning, see them off to school, you know.
So this passion and this power and this determination has been unwaning since the moment you said, I can do that. I don't care if they're not going to support me. I don't care if I have to go out on my own. That's what I want. And it's just been what's driven you all the way
Yes,
through.
because there are two ways of seeing the world. What you want and how to get there and achieve it, or what you want and the obstacles.
You've kept saying something all the way through this discussion that we're having. You've kept saying something, and that you've not listened to other people's opinions. You've not listened to the voices that might criticize, that might bring you down, that might cast opinions, that might try and deter you. You've listened to your objectives, to what you want. Now I'm going to come to you because you're a very inspirational, empowering woman. Would that be your advice? If you could give advice to other women who maybe they're not running their own business, but maybe they're facing some of the challenges that you've had, because let's face it, the world has changed, but it hasn't completely changed. Women still have these challenges in the workplace. They still have challenges with bringing up children and having to go back to work. What's your advice? What is your advice to...
That's a whole new discussion. That's a whole big
discussion.
Well,
Okay, let's touch on it though. But your advice that you would give to women, just from the top of your head, what is the things that your empowering messages?
I would say, you have to know what you want. What you want is the most important. And do what you want. Don't let anybody else discriminate you or not encourage you, because I think of a woman, they look for people to encourage them. Yes, do this. Yes, you don't need encouragement. You're your own encouragement. You should want it. If you want it, just do it. And don't listen to what everybody's saying out there, because people are going to try to, sway you to a different direction. You have your own. You're the owner of your own life. At the end of the day, so you decide for yourself.
You see, we managed that without another show. That's a hugely powerful message.
But there's a lot to say in it. There's a lot more to go into. Very briefly, you are the owner of your life. So.
But Sara, coming back to that and just picking that apart just for a second, because I really want to get that message across very clearly. How then, in a world that we're in today, where there are so many messages hitting us as women, whether it be social media telling us how to look, what to wear, how to behave, when there's society that's telling us what we should be doing, how we should be bringing up our children, what we should be doing as a career, how we should behave in the workplace, how do you turn that noise off? How was the Sara Grech solution for turning off the noise?
Play by the rules and be ferocious. Just think about yourself and just go for it. Don't let anybody else, distract you. That's it. Very simple.
No meditation in the morning, no, yoga and all this sort of thing.
No.
Good for you. I tried yoga once, it didn't work for me.